From the fairy tales we heard as kids, all the way to Harry Potter, we feel like we know the owl. It's this familiar stranger. We see it everywhere, but it's always wrapped in mystery. Well, let me tell you, the real owl is way more incredible than any story you've ever heard. Right, we all recognize those big eyes and that wise, all-knowing look. But what's really going on behind that famous face? It turns out owls are packed with some of nature's most sophisticated and honestly surprising evolutionary tricks. So today, we're going to peel back the myths and get right to the science. So let's start with a nickname that sounds a little strange at first, but once you think about it, it makes perfect sense. What do you get when you give a cat wings? Cats with wings. I know it sounds like something from a fantasy movie, but the comparison is actually spot on. They're both elite hunters of the night, and you'd be amazed at how their abilities have evolved along these incredibly similar paths. Okay, check this out. The similarities are just striking. Both have absolutely superior night vision, that's a given. Both use height as a weapon, right? A cat on a fence post, an owl on a branch. It's the same strategy. And where a cat has that slinky, flexible body, the owl has that famous head-spinning neck. It's amazing. We're talking about two totally different animals that basically came up with the exact same solutions for one big problem: how to completely own the night. So what's the actual hardware that makes them such perfect predators? Let's zoom in on their most famous feature, those massive, unforgettable eyes. You see, unlike our eyes, which are like little spheres that can roll around, an owl's eyes are shaped like tubes. They're locked in place, so they work more like a pair of built-in binoculars. This gives them this phenomenal depth perception to pinpoint a tiny mouse from way up high. And that is why they need that crazy neck flexibility. They have to turn their whole head just to look around. And now for the ears. This number, 12,000 hertz, might not seem huge, but it's the key to their other superpower. Their hearing is so precise it can work completely without their eyes, letting them locate the high-pitched rustle of a mouse hiding under a foot of snow. Now, you might look at this and be a little surprised. Humans, and especially cats, can hear way higher frequencies than owls. But here's the thing. For an owl, it's not about the range. It's all about specialization. Their hearing is perfectly, and I mean perfectly tuned to the exact frequencies of their prey. It's not about hearing everything, it's about hearing the right thing with deadly accuracy. Okay, let's move on to the owl's greatest superpower, an ability that seems to literally defy the laws of physics and has inspired engineers for decades. It's completely, utterly silent flight. I mean, really think about that. A pigeon taking off makes that loud flapping noise. A hawk diving makes a whoosh sound. But an owl? Nothing. Just silence. This biological stealth technology is so good it feels almost supernatural. So how in the world do they pull it off? It all comes down to this incredible three-part system. First, the front edge of the wing has these comb-like serrations that break up the air before it can make that typical whoosh sound. Second, the feathers themselves have a velvety texture that actually absorbs sound. And finally, the back edge of the wing has this soft fringe that smooths out any leftover air turbulence. It is a perfect trifecta of acoustic camouflage. But why did this evolve in the first place? Well, scientists have two main ideas. The first one is pretty obvious: stealth. The mouse never hears its doom approaching. The second theory, though, is just as brilliant. It's so the owl can hear its prey without its own wings making noise and getting in the way. The truth? It's probably a little bit of both. Being a perfect hunter isn't just about catching dinner. It's about establishing who's boss. And in the world of raptors, the owl isn't just playing the game. It's often the undisputed ruler of the night. To really get this, we need to know this term: intraguild predation. It's a fancy name for a brutal fact of nature. Predators don't just compete for food, they often just eliminate the competition by hunting them. And in this arena, owls are absolute masters. In this world, size is everything. A big, powerful bird like the great horned owl won't think twice about preying on smaller owls or even its daytime rivals, the hawks. They are, for sure, the bullies of the sky, creating what scientists call a landscape of fear. And this isn't just random violence, it changes everything. Research on eagle owls found that their mere presence is enough to make smaller tawny owls completely change how they live. They'll abandon the best nesting spots and avoid prime hunting grounds, all just to stay off the eagle owl's menu. This kind of behavior gives the eagle owl a really special role in its environment, which is summed up perfectly in this quote from the researchers. They act as keystone predators. What that means is their influence is so huge that if you took them out of the picture, the entire ecosystem would dramatically change. And here is the fascinating twist. By bullying those mid-level predators, the big eagle owl actually creates safe zones, or gaps, in the landscape. And in these gaps, other, even smaller owl species can move in and thrive without being hassled. So get this, the top predator's dominance actually ends up increasing the biodiversity for everyone else. It's incredible. So, let's bring it all home. We've seen the owl's unbelievable senses, its stealth fighter technology, and its powerful role as the architect of its own environment. The real owl, it turns out, is way more magical than any creature from a storybook. It really is a masterpiece of evolution. You've got the hyper-tuned senses built for darkness, the biological stealth tech for silent flight, and this incredible role as a keystone predator that shapes the entire food web. The owl is the complete package of predatory perfection. So the next time you hear that distant hoot in the dark, or maybe catch a glimpse of that iconic silhouette against the moon, remember what you're really seeing. It's not just a bird. It's a silent hunter, an ecological powerhouse, and a true marvel of the natural world, reminding us that sometimes reality is way more amazing than fiction.